we can start. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of our DGE, Rudy Habesh, the entire training committee, and my wonderful co-chair, Patricia Dimek, I would like to welcome you to the third session of the 2021 Club Leadership Training. This session that is about to start will show you all you ever wanted to know about being a club secretary. You may be an incoming secretary, or that's maybe something you would like to do in the future. This session is presented by Ken Boyd, and he's a member of the Rotary Club of Guelph Trillium. Before I hand over the session to Ken, I want to give you a quick Zoom reminder. Please keep yourself muted at all times. As much as we would love to hear your doggies or cats or your cell phone, it might be a little distracting for the rest of us. And if you have any questions at the end of the session and we need to hear you to clarify what you wanted to ask, then we ask you to unmute yourself. For now, if you have a question, please put the question in the chat box, and we will get to those questions once the presentation has concluded. And if we have time after the written questions are answered, we may have some additional questions or comments, and we can do that on the go, and we open up the mic then. Also, as a reminder, this session is being recorded and will be available on the district's website on the Club Leadership Training landing page. In addition to the recorded session, Ken has also prepared a lot of materials and handouts that will come in very handy. And these materials can also be accessed on the same Club Leadership Training landing page. For now, it's my pleasure to hand over the session to your presenter, Ken Boyd. Over to you, Ken.
Thank you, Suzanne. Welcome, everyone. Good to see so many faces. Usually when I'm live, they might have 10 to 15 people, but we've got a good turnout. As Suzanne mentioned, I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Guelph Trillium, and it's the breakfast club, and it turns 30 years old this year. I've been a member of that club for 29 years in July, and Assistant District Governor, Paul Harris Fellow. I'm a charter member of the Paul Harris Society, and I've been a secretary, not continuously, but for more than half of the 29 years I've been a member. I'm also the webmaster for our club and the Bulletin editor. So I'm just going to, I have a PowerPoint presentation. I'm just going to share my screen and we'll get at it. It's a fairly long presentation, so hopefully if there are things I'm missing, you can ask questions in the chat room. Hang on one second here. We'll see if we can make it work. Okay, can everybody see that? Nod your head. We're good to go? Good to go, Suzanne? Looks good? All right, thank you. Thank you, Clarence.
Yeah, looks good. Go ahead.
Okay. So tonight's agenda, first of all, we'll just review the various roles that a secretary in the club may have, and those roles may vary depending on your club. And then we'll do a demonstration at the end. I was thinking about online, but I think tonight I do have some screenshots near the end, which we'll use rather than doing an online demonstration. So my Rotary can sometimes be a little slow, and so this way, if we're running short on time, we can get through those screenshots and give you a little better idea of how to access some of the technology. And then questions at the end. So this is a list of the secretary's roles. You will probably not have all of these roles, but you'll have some of them. Certainly the one that RI feels is most important is your membership role, keeping the membership and the club information up to date is, the second one, which is changing actually as we go ahead now, is attendance and recording attendance, reporting attendance. And you'll also be involved in the recording of minutes of meetings, particularly of board meetings, and maybe some committees, depending on the size of your club. There'll be correspondence, roster, records and archives. We'll get into some of these in a little more detail. Ordering and actually keeping an inventory of supplies, maybe finances if you are a small club and you've got a combined secretary treasurer position. You might be involved in that. You may be involved in organizing and keeping attendance at weekly meetings. You may be, like I am, involved in doing the club bulletin and the website, and just a little bit of time also talking about elections and bylaws. So here's just a little bit about preparing for your coming year. One of the things that you should plan on doing is to meet with your incoming president and board of directors. You'll want to talk about what the goals will be for your board for the coming year, for your club. You'll also maybe want to talk to the president simply about some mundane things about how you want to run the board meetings. Do you want the secretary to send out the notice of meetings and prepare the agenda? Does, in some cases, in our club, for instance, the president has been doing that. It varies. It may change with the president. It varies from president to president. And so take time to meet with them and figure out what your role is and offer your help to the president and to the board of directors. Review the training resources that we have. And then the biggest and the most important thing to do is job shadow your current secretary. He or she will be familiar with the kinds of roles that is expected in your particular club. They can give you some guidance on the ins and outs of being a secretary in their club. Some of the resources, well, tonight, the first one is a district leadership training session that you're participating in right now. Some other resources that are available to you. You should become familiar with your Rotary Club Constitution and your club bylaws and your club policies and procedures, because those are the things that are the governance of your club. And now in our case, my club's case here, I prepare a binder for all of the directors, board of directors, which has our strategic plan, the club constitution, the club bylaws, the policies and procedures, and then a couple of sections, one where they can keep the minutes of the meetings and another tab for their financial reports, and then just a miscellaneous for things like the presidential citation, whatever, just miscellaneous information. The second place, another place to look for information is in My Rotary, and we'll get into that in a little more detail a little later on. But as I said before, your current secretary is your best resource, and so take advantage of that. Job shadow them before they leave the role. So as I said, the RI expects, they think the most important thing you do is membership and club records. And keeping those up to date at Rotary International. There are several ways you can do it. Reporting information. There's a manual form, which I'll show you, where you can, used to be years ago when I was doing this, you had to fill this out with pen and ink, but now they've got it so it's a fillable PDF that you can fill out, and then you can either fax it or how you can add a new member, how you can change information from a current member, and how you, at the bottom, how you may terminate a member. So I'll just go back to my page. So you can use the manual form if you wish, but you can also do your record keeping online using My Rotary. And but you will need to sign up to My Rotary before you have access to it. And I just give you a little tip about that, is that unless they've changed, you can't access the club data until you're actually the club secretary. Positions on the executive that give you access. And one of them is called executive director. Most clubs don't have an executive director. So if you get your current secretary to sign you up between now and July the 1st as a executive director, then you can get in there and start looking around and seeing how you, what's all in there and how you go about adding information, updating information, and so forth. And then on July 1st, presumably you'll have access as the new secretary. ClubRunner, if you're using ClubRunner, is also a great way to keep your records up to date for membership and for your club executive, all of your club information. And it is synchronized with Rotary International. Information that you put in ClubRunner will be uploaded to Rotary International. It won't be to ClubRunner. And if you don't use ClubRunner, you can keep your membership records and other information on the district ClubRunner website. You have to be able to log on there, but you do have access to be able to use that if you wish. Other membership things that you'll be involved in, the membership proposal process. You can look to your bylaws probably to find out information on how new members are brought in, what the whole process is all about in terms of sponsorship, the new member, and then induction and so forth. And also there's a referral mechanism now through Rotary International, where if you have someone that's interested in becoming a Rotarian, they can register with Rotary International, and that will get forwarded to the appropriate area, to the appropriate district, and then forwarded on to the appropriate assistant district governor, and they can then contact people. And we've had several in our club already this year. They can contact those people, see if they're interested. If you want full information on how to do that, go into the My Rotary Learning Center Basic Secretaries tutorial, and that will give you full details on how that process does occur. The other thing that you probably will do as far as membership is concerned is when you have a new member, putting together the membership kit, which may be the things like, a membership pin, the name badge, the club roster, other, copy of the Rotary magazine, other kinds of Rotary information to help the new member get started. This is this will be in the handout that will be available to you. It's how to create my Rotary account. Interestingly, when you go on, if you don't have an account on my Rotary, then you have to register for an account. This little tutorial is not available until you're actually registered. So, but I've got it for you in the handout, so you can go see the step-by-step process that you would go through to become have a registered My Rotary account. On ClubRunner, if you're using ClubRunner or using the district ClubRunner website to keep your membership information up to date, for your ClubRunner, have the webmaster update your status to 40, which is the fairly high up. It gives you access to more parts of the ClubRunner administration area, and it's the same as the president has. Only the webmaster has a higher degree of access. It has a great little facility on it, is that you can generate an email that goes out to every member that gives them their profile of their information that's on the database and asks them to update it, and then gives them a little link to go right in and update their own data. And you would do this just prior to the semi-annual dues date of July 1st and January 1st, so that your information that is in Rotary International is up to date, because Rotary International will bill you based on the members that you have on July 1st and January 1st. And so you want to make sure that that's current. Again, in ClubRunner, you can add new members, you can terminate members and change in member information if the member's not comfortable doing it themselves. And that is synchronized with Rotary International so that they are automatically updated. Although I tend to be a little cautious, and I usually go into my Rotary and just check and make sure it's happened, and it usually does. Some other things that we use ClubRunner for is attendance. If you're using ClubRunner as your club management system, you can do detailed meeting attendance. If you're using the district site, I think you can only put in summary information, let's say once a month. But if you're using ClubRunner locally, then it's got a great little facility that allows you to generate a membership checklist that can be used at your attendance desk at your club meetings to record attendance. The ClubRunner also has it set up so that you can post makeups from members, leave of absence, rule of 85, attendance exemptions, and there may be other attendance exemptions, such as for medical reasons as well. If you're not familiar with the rule of 85, what that is, that any club member who has 20 years or more of Rotary membership, not necessarily in the same club, Rotary membership, and their age plus their number of years of service is 85 or more, they can request to be exempted from attendance. We'll talk a little bit more later about attendance, because things are changing in that regard as well. Attendance is not as prominent, I guess you might say, a requirement as it used to be. Another duty you'll have is board minutes. Again, you need to discuss with your president who's going to send out the notice of meeting, who's going to create the agenda, one of the things that we've done in our club that, and for about the past 4 or 5 years has been really worked well, is that each director has been asked to submit a written report prior to the board meeting. And it's got 3 categories: information, discussion, and decision. And so they provide an updated report. Some things may be just for information. There may be things that they want discussed during the meeting, but it doesn't require a decision. They just maybe want a little bit of direction on how they proceed with their particular initiative or problem. And then decision, where you need to actually have a motion to dealt with at the actual meeting. You don't deal with information, you just deal with discussion and decision. And that helps a couple of ways. It helps to speed up the meeting. And secondly, it helps you as secretary to minimize the amount of recording you've got to do. As I said before, develop the meeting agenda with your president. And if you can keep the agenda consistent from month to month, following the same order, it makes your minute taking a lot easier, because you can use almost have a template of what the board minutes are going to look like. I often say I can write everything practically for the board minutes before the meeting starts. The kind of things to record and this is good if you've got written reports that you can attach to the minutes after the meeting. The kind of things to record then in the minutes: date, time, and place, of course, the number of board members present, any guests that are present. You record all motions, and then you only need to record any details as they pertain to the motion, and you can refer things back to the written reports that are addended to the minutes. That'll save you. You may be involved in putting together the roster, because you are, of course, involved in keeping all of the membership information. Again, you can use that request to update email feature in ClubRunner to update the members' information before you put it into the roster. We've gone still with a printed roster. You may, and we're looking at this year going to an electronic roster rather than having a printed roster. In fact, our printed roster has really become a member handbook with a lot more information than just a roster of the club members. If you're using ClubRunner, you can create an electronic roster. In fact, individual members can generate the electronic roster themselves with or without photographs. And finally, there's a mobile app, and that you can put on your cell phone. I find it's really handy. You don't have to load all of your membership contacts into your cell phone. It's right there. You can not only does it have the member information, it has their email address, has their phone number. So if you want to send them an email or a text message or call them, it's right there. It's very, very handy. So I'd recommend you take a look at it. I think there is a video on the district website that gives you some information about the mobile app if you want to go and have a look at that. But I highly recommend it. Some of the correspondence that you'll have, of course, we mentioned already that you have your semi-annual invoice that you'll receive from Rotary International. And you need to get that to your treasurer if the treasurer hasn't already received a copy as well. You need to report your incoming executive for the new Rotary year by February 1st, RI. You can do that either on My Rotary or you can do it through ClubRunner. About now, usually there's information comes out on credentials that allow you to designate who the voting delegates will be at the Rotary International Convention. I'm not sure whether that's going to happen with a virtual convention, but usually if it's your president that's going to the convention, or if you've got another member, other members going to the convention, then you give them a set of credentials that they can use to vote on any items that come up at the international convention. For transferring members, if you've got members that are transferring out of your club to another club, to another area, I like to provide them with a letter of reference that they can take with them. That's sort of a to whom it may concern letter of reference, and you can put in, the members' information, put in their membership number, which is they may not necessarily know. It's handy if they have that. You can indicate how many years they've been a member, what their classification was, and also there is a form that you fill out that confirms the membership's standing, financial standing, in terms of that they don't owe anything to the club. That's a fillable form that will be in the handout that you can get if you like. Visiting Rotarian makeups, that's used to take a bit of work. It really doesn't involve anything anymore, but you may have visiting Rotarians ask you to send their club a makeup report. Any other official notices and invitations for club events, fellowship events, and that sort of thing. Nominations for Paul Harris Fellows. There are forms, and they're in the handout, fillable PDF forms that you can use to three areas you can use it for. One is for an individual Paul Harris contribution by an individual member. Secondly, if you've got, you can do a multiple member report where multiple members are contributing to the Rotary Foundation. And thirdly is and one I use most often, of course, is the one where we are awarding a Paul Harris Fellow to a member or to a community member, and transferring the points from the club's Paul Harris points to this Paul Harris Fellow. You'll probably also be involved in ordering supplies and awards, that sort of thing, supplies like badges, name badges, Rotary pins, banners, Rotary banners, plaques, and trophies for awards that may be given out from your club. And also, because you're ordering them, you end up also being the keeper of the inventory. Just not much on the email bulletin. You may be involved in writing it, maybe not. Just indicate that in ClubRunner, you can have multiple email formats so that you can have emails that are targeted at different audiences, not just an email bulletin that goes out to the members. You can say, you can use the email bulletin feature to set up your PR committee to set up a public relations, a press release email that has a standard masthead on it and goes out to them, and then you can develop your contact list for the media that you want that to go to, so that anytime you've got a press release going out, they can just use that template. You may want to have something that goes to potential members just to sort of give them a little extra recognition to keep them interested. And so your membership committee may want to have a bulletin that goes out from time to time, or you may want to have something special that goes for new members, especially something that relates between the member and the member's mentor. But there's a number of possibilities. That's about all I wanted to say about the email bulletin. Elections, you'll probably be involved in this because there'll be a need for a call for nominations to go out. You'd want to refer to your club bylaws to find out the timing of that. But usually annual meeting and election of incoming officers before the 31st of December. And so you back up from there in terms of when you're going to have your annual meeting, and back up from there and as to when you're going to call for nominations. Again, go to your bylaws to look at the process for nominations. You may have a nominating committee. For instance, in our club, we have a nominating committee that's chaired by the past president and has several of past presidents on that committee to recruit nominees. Once you've got your nominations, the voting procedure, whether it's going to be at the annual meeting or whether you're allowed to have proxies or whether you're allowed to vote by email, but set that out, creating ballots, appointing scrutineers, which in our case, we use the same committee that's the nominating committee as scrutineers, and then recording and submitting the results of that election. Bylaws. Here's some updates that you may or may not be familiar with that came out of both the 2016 Council on Legislation and the 2019 Council on Legislation. And there will be another one coming up in 2022. In 2000, clubs. First of all, even though RI only allows two kinds of membership, either an active member or an honorary member, they do allow clubs to determine their own rules for membership, who is the process for members becoming members. It also allows, as you may have corporate members now, you may have family memberships, you might have junior memberships or associate memberships. You have the freedom to set up whatever membership type you wish, but they will only be recorded in RI as either active memberships or honorary memberships. They will also created flexibility in your meeting frequency. The minimum is that you meet 2 times per month, but the format is no longer sort of your customary business meeting. You can have a fellowship meeting, you can have some sort of any type of event, any format that you choose. And also, as I said earlier, the requirement for attendance is no longer as flexible. It's no longer expected that you will have full attendance. Again, the change in the rule of 85, before it was just years of age plus years of service equal 85. They added that it must be a minimum of 20 years membership as well. E-clubs are no longer distinct. Well, all of us are e-clubs these days, pretty much. Rotaractors can also be Rotarians. It's the only dual membership that's allowed, is that Rotaractors can remain being Rotaractors and also being Rotarians. And when I show you the 2019 update, you'll see that they've also removed the age limit from Rotaractors so that there's no upper age limit to being a Rotaract any longer. And suspension of a member for 90 days. Well, hopefully we don't have to deal with that one. An admission fee is no longer a requirement. We still, in our club, have an admission fee, and that covers some miscellaneous expenses such as the name badge and the Rotary pin and the roster and things like that. But you don't have to have it anymore. And treasurer is automatically a board member, which I was surprised that hadn't happened before that. But now they're automatically a board member. When I go back to my early years, the treasurer and the secretary are appointed still. They were appointed, and the board had to pass a resolution every year to allow the secretary and the treasurer to be voting members of the board. Semi-annual dues, they put into a system where these semi-annual dues are increasing every year by about 50 cents US. For 2021 and 22, it's 35 US. They've also tacked on a dollar surcharge for the Council on Legislation costs. Then 22, 23, it's 35.50 US, semi-annually. And the rate of exchange you can look up on my Rotary each month. So the 2019 makeups you can do anytime during the Rotary year. In fact, you have 366 days before or after the meeting that you missed to do a makeup. Attendance reporting is now optional. I know there are some clubs already that are not regularly recording attendance. We still record attendance even during our pandemic, and we're meeting virtually. I haven't been reporting it, but we still have some members that are pretty traditional, and we've got some members that have had perfect attendance for their entire Rotary career. So attendance is important to them. So it's something our board will have to look at in the near future as to whether we continue to report attendance. But certainly it's very flexible now. They're suggesting 12 hours semi-annually of Rotary participation. And that can be not just Rotary meetings, it can be any type of Rotary event. Could be a fellowship event, it could be a fundraiser, whatever. I said before, Rotaract and Rotaract clubs are now full Rotary club members, not affiliated with or reporting to a Rotary club. They changed that there's now no longer a limit on the number of members per classification. It used to be a maximum of 10% of five members in the same classification, or 10% of your total membership could be the same classification. Well, that was easy enough to get around anyway, because you just changed the actual classification just a little bit, and it's a whole new classification. So now that they're just saying it doesn't matter how many, that clears up that problem. Used to be that if a Rotary member was elected to public office, they basically had to be, you didn't have to resign from Rotary, but they were changed from an active member to an honorary member for the time that they held public office. Now that's gone, but they do not take on the classification of their public office. They still retain their original classification. And just recently, you probably heard that they've added a seventh area of focus of environment. Okay, these are some of the forms that are on the handout that were mentioned at the outset of the meeting. The confirmation of financial status of a membership that's transferring, The tutorial on how to create my Rotary account is there. The membership data form that I showed you on the screen is there. There's also an example membership certificate that you can print off. The Paul Harris, Rotary Foundation, Paul Harris contribution form, the recognition transfer form where you're recognizing a member by transferring club points, the multiple donor form. And then also there's another form there that is for replacement. If a Paul Harris pin breaks or is gone missing, you can order replacement pins and that sort of thing. And also not just for the original Paul Harris pin, but for multiple year pins as well. There's a form there for that. Some of these forms, all of these forms are on the My Rotary website, but they're not necessarily very easy to find. So feel free to download those and use them. Also put in a couple of files which show you the basics of getting into My Rotary and the basics of getting into ClubRunner. They're on there as well. There's also the Rotary standard club constitution and an example of that RI gives for a Rotary club bylaws. I don't particularly like the bylaw one because it's not very specific but I expect that's not an issue for any club because most of you will already have bylaws. Okay, so how are we doing on time, Suzanne?
It's 7:15 now, so
You're on mute. Yeah.
yeah, just go ahead for now.
Got 15 minutes. Okay, we'll run through and
no
okay,
questions
well,
so far.
we'll run through. Okay, well, we'll run through the demonstration first of all of My Rotary. You go into the Rotary website, which is www.rotary.org. And when you get there, you'll see this is the website. And you click on My Rotary at the top of the screen, and you will be asked to sign in. If you already have an account, you can sign into Rotary. If you don't, you need to register. This is where you start the process of registering for your, go to that handout to look at the process there. It's pretty intuitive, pretty straightforward, but just one tip is that your user ID will be your email address, and it's the email address that Rotary International has on their website. So if you're like me and have more than one email address, you got to make sure you got the right one. And your secretary can help you with that. He or she can go in and look at what your current email address is on Rotary International. So once you are signed in, you put in your username and password, and up comes this screen. Going back to learning and reference, there's a lot of good information on the My Rotary website. You can go, if you click on Learn by Role, you can then find a session about Club Secretary and go in there and go through that one. Or if you go down a little further to Learning Center, tutorials there, one of them being Secretary Basics that you can sign into. You might find there's other interesting tutorials there as well you maybe want to check out. So but those are the best two places to go and get some information, reference information, and more information about your role as secretary. If you click on Manage, that will take you to the club and district administration site. And if you click on Club Administration, that gets you into the section where it allows you to update club membership, club and membership data, club member and club membership data. Clicking on, you scroll down a little bit, you can see how you go in to update member data. And you can add, edit, or remove members. You can add sponsors. I was pointing out before, down here, way in the bottom corner, if you're having trouble, there's some really good little tutorials. But the one on how to create my Rotary account, you got to be on there before you can look at it. But anyway, there's also other ways, other useful tutorials down here on how to pay your club invoice, how step by step, how to add a member, how to update information on club members, and so forth. If you go into how to add a member or how to update your membership information, there are three here. That one is add a member, add a new member, and that will take you through that process of adding the information. If you're using ClubRunner, you don't have to do it that way. You just have to have ClubRunner synced with Rotary International. Same with club officers. If you have, if you're using ClubRunner, it will automatically do it, but you can also manage that from here. And also, if you want to have a paper list, or well, an electronic list, but something that you can download and print off, you can also do a membership list. Then coming up below on the screen will be the information on individual club members, which is not shown here. Okay, let's go into ClubRunner for a little bit here. If you go to the admin page on ClubRunner, whether it's on your own ClubRunner website or whether it's the district website, you get to the admin page, you click on membership, and then you click on membership list, and that will bring up a list of your members. And you can, over on the right-hand side, this is how you add a new member. You go in here and fill out the member. It's an active membership, who their sponsor is. If they're a transferring member and you know their Rotary number, you can enter it there. And also you can check off whether you will report the new member to Rotary International or not. Situations where you might not do that is if you have a corporate membership and you have one of the corporate members as the official club member, but you have several other members of the company that you want in your contact list. And then down below, you put in the member detail, member information, name, the tombstone information, basically. Here, I've mentioned before about requesting a member update. This is what you get here. You can, as I said, you can get the member data sent to each individual member with a button or a link that they can go on and update their own information. You can also custom build your message that goes to them if you want. By clicking here, you can modify the message that goes out to them. Another area that you may use is attendance. And you go to, whoop, went too fast, sorry. You can go down here to meetings and enter the meeting information week by week, who was there, and when you pull up the meeting, it lists the members, and you just simply tag those members that were present. You can also record leaves of absence and makeups. And you can set your own attendance rules within reason. And then this is where you can create a little member list that you can use as a checklist when at the attendance desk to record meeting attendance. Another area that you'll use is under the tab Organization, Executive and Directors. It lists the club executives for the current year and also for previous years. And then when you do the update for next year, you click on next year and you can enter the information for all of the positions on your club executive by clicking over here. You can add a new position, or you can edit the existing position and update it with the new member information. RI integration, you have to tell it that you want ClubRunner to integrate database, but it also has a number of other features that you can do some cross-checking to make sure that the information is synchronized. And that's it. So I'll leave that screen up, and then if there's any questions, we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. We have
I don't think I was that thorough that I covered everything.
well, it's impossible to cover everything with a secretary role. It's a huge and varied role from club to club. And I'm sure most of our people online know that it varies from club to club, but we do have a bunch of questions in the chat box for you. First of all, from Rita Gale, the term for the secretary's position is 4 years. Is that correct?
That'll depend on your club bylaws. In our club, the secretary is appointed, and it's appointed year by year. So you have to look at your club bylaws.
Yeah, and the usual practice for each club differs widely, I'm sure. Yeah. So the next question is from.
Yeah, you may even have some clubs that
Sorry, Ken, you froze there. Just repeat what you were saying.
Oh, okay. I thought you were frozen. Sorry. I was just going to say some officers like secretary and the treasurer are actually elected. But again, that depends on your bylaws.
Yeah, it's club by club. So the next question is from Bruce McLeish. What is the source for 12 hours semi-annual participation? Is that an RI requirement or is it up to the club?
It's an RI requirement. It's a minimum requirement. So if the club wants to specify something in addition, it can.
Okay, thank you for that. And a question from Leanti Muller. What info sync from ClubRunner compared to what extra information do we need to add in my Rotary? I'm not sure I understand that question, but
yeah,
an info sync, yeah.
Yeah, what I just mean is, I know it uploads a lot of information. Besides what we can upload, is there anything else that we need to put in my Rotary?
No. If you, what did I do there? If you enter the ClubRunner information, it will have all the information it needs for my Rotary. There's nothing in addition that you need to add.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. The next question from Adej Sola. I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. What would be the reason to suspend a member?
Say it could be, well, rather than dismiss somebody for not paying dues, you could suspend them. They may have done, may have been arrested, done something or charged with something, doing something illegal. it has to be something fairly serious that something like harassment of club members. If you had a member harassing female members of the club, or if you had
Yeah.
inappropriate activity of
It
that
would
nature,
be, yeah, it would be on a case-by-case basis.
case by case. Yeah.
Yeah. And the next question is from Henry Moore. ClubRunner uploads to my Rotary. Is the reverse true? And actually, Suzanne commented on this, and she said, ClubRunner only loads up, which I believe is absolutely right, not from my Rotary down.
Right.
So we load up from ClubRunner, and we don't expect downloads from RI.
Exactly.
Next question from Norma Gamble. What about a returning member?
Yes. It depends, I think, a bit on how long they've been out of Rotary, what sort of process you go through. I think you need to decide whether you're going to treat the new or the returning member the same way you would treat a new member as the process that you use.
Mhm.
One of the things you do not do is you do not charge them the admittance fee,
Mhm.
admission fee, if they're a returning member, whether they're returning to your club or whether they're transferring from another club into your club.
Can I give you an example? We have a member who's applied to return that's been absent for a couple of years in my club, Burlington Lakeshore. And he's gone through the same process as an applying member. We don't have an admission or admittance or orientation fee. And so he's gone through the same process as any new member so that he's oriented into the club up to date. And we'll see, his membership has been proposed. But as membership director myself at my club, I have put him through the same hoops, more or less, as a new member, and making sure that he's up to date with what's gone on while he's been missing. And his reasons for returning are good. I think that would be the big factor. His reasons for returning are good, and we're proposing him as a new member. Norma, you have another question on that?
Yeah. Thanks, Patricia. I need to just elaborate. I've been into ClubRunner and I've put in all of the information, but it won't allow me to confirm that information, Ken. So I can't confirm that her membership has gone through to RI, and it hasn't certainly been registered on our ClubRunner. Is that a question I should perhaps take to ClubRunner directly? Perhaps I've missed something. I've gone over it, and I'm thinking I must have missed some small thing because the number's in.
Yeah.
Do you have her membership number?
Yeah, I have a membership number. Her address has changed, so I don't know whether that could be the issue. Maybe I'll call ClubRunner tomorrow and speak to them. I wanted to bring it up because it might be something that comes up for other clubs too.
I haven't run into that at all, and I'm not sure what it could be.
Yeah.
If the ClubRunner won't accept it, it's not a case that the ClubRunner can't upload it.
Yeah,
Is that the case?
I fill all of the information in, Ken. It just won't confirm it. As I go to confirm it, it won't confirm. So I've obviously missed one of the steps, or I've put in information in an area where I shouldn't have. Not a problem. Thank you very much. That was a great presentation, Ken. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are all of the questions, Ken, and everybody got your contact information. So with a lot of thanks, I'll hand you back to Suzanne.
Well, thank you very much, Ken, for this excellent presentation. I'm sure everybody has benefited a great deal. I know I always learn something, even though I have been a secretary before, but I always learn. And again, on behalf of Patricia and myself, I want to thank you, Ken, to be our speaker tonight. And I also want to thank everyone who has been working hard to make this club leadership training a success. This includes our AV team. Tonight it was Darren Sweeney and Clarence Haverson, and the entire training committee, and of course, also all the speakers who contribute their time and knowledge to create these presentations for you all. Please again, remember that the recording of the session will be available on the website, district website's landing page shortly, and as well as the handouts that Ken has mentioned. Finally, there are more great sessions coming up in the next few days, and there's still time to register. Tomorrow's session will be on membership, presented by Brian Bennett, and maybe some of you will be there as well. And with this, thank you everyone for attending. Thanks again. And I wish you a wonderful evening. And well, I'll see you tomorrow, if not later.